You hit the goal, so why don't you feel any different? You worked for it, maybe for months, maybe for years. You told yourself that once you got there, once you hit that number, got that title or finished that thing, you reached that place, everything would feel different. You would feel different, more settled, more satisfied, more like yourself. And then you got there, and for maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, it felt exactly the way you hoped. And then something shifted. The feeling faded. Life went back to normal. And now you're sitting there wondering, is something wrong with me? Because I did the thing, I got what I wanted, I reached my goal. So why don't I feel any different? If that has ever happened to you, I need you to stay right here. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to reframe something you've probably been carrying around for a long time without even knowing what to call it. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand yourself a whole lot better. Welcome to the Bold Life Suite. I'm Joanne. Let's get into it. I want to start with a story because I think it lands better than a definition. Imagine someone who's been working toward a promotion for 3 years. She stays late, she takes on extra projects, she passes up vacations, tells herself and everyone around her that once she gets this promotion, things will be different. She'll feel secure, she'll feel proud, and she'll finally be able to relax. And then she gets it, and for a little while she does feel those things. But within a few months, sometimes faster, the new role becomes just the role. The new salary becomes the new normal. And she finds herself looking at the next rung on the ladder thinking, okay, what's next? And feeling vaguely guilty for not being more grateful, for not feeling more. Does that sound familiar? Maybe it's not a promotion for you. Maybe it was a relationship, a house, a number on the scale, a milestone birthday, or a goal that you crossed off a list and waited to feel changed by. The details are different for everyone, okay? But the experience, that quiet confusion when the thing that you've worked for doesn't deliver the lasting feeling that you expected, that experience is almost universal. And there's a name for it. Researchers call this the arrival fallacy. It's the belief, deeply wired into most of us, that once we reach a specific destination, we'll finally feel the way we've been waiting to feel. Happy enough, settled, complete. The fallacy part is that the brain doesn't actually work that way. The happiness we expect from achieving something is real. It really is. But it's also much shorter lived than what we anticipate. And once it fades, the brain does what it always does. It adapts, it recalibrates, and it starts scanning for the next thing. This isn't a character flaw. This isn't ingratitude. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Researchers call the underlying mechanism hedonic adaptation, the brain's built-in ability to return to a stable emotional baseline after any significant change, positive or negative. It's actually a survival feature. If we stayed in a constant state of excitement over everything good that happened to us, we would never be able to function. So the brain levels out, it normalizes, and what once felt extraordinary quietly becomes just ordinary life. The problem isn't the adaptation. The problem is that nobody told us this was coming. So when the feeling fades, we don't think, oh, right, that's just how the brain works. We think, I must not have wanted it enough, or I must not deserve to feel good about it, or I need to go find the next thing that will finally make me feel the way I've been waiting to feel. And so the cycle continues. Now, here's the part that really gets me, and I want you to sit with this for just a second. Some researchers describe this as a kind of a treadmill. You keep running, you keep achieving, you keep moving the finish line. Not because you're greedy or ambitious in a bad way, but because the brain keeps returning to that baseline. And the only thing that seems to help is the next goal, the next milestone, the next version of Arrival. I feel this all the time. And you're working incredibly hard, but in terms of lasting satisfaction, you're not actually getting anywhere. Now, I'm not saying don't have goals. I'm not saying don't achieve things. That is absolutely not the message here, okay? Goals matter, growth matters, but when your entire sense of peace is parked in a future moment that keeps moving, when happiness is always something that you're about to have rather than something you're allowed to have right now, that's where the real cost lives. Not in the ambition, in the belief that you have to earn the feeling first. There's another piece to this that I think hits even harder for people who have been through something. Sometimes we reach a goal that we've built up over a long period of struggle, and we expect the achievement to somehow settle the score, to make the hard years worth it, to finally prove something to ourselves, to other people, to the version of us that doubted we could even do it. And when that feeling doesn't match the expectation, it doesn't just feel like disappointment. It feels like something was taken from us, like we did everything right and still didn't get what we were promised. You were not lied to. You just were working with incomplete information, and now you have more. So, what do you actually do with this? Because I don't just want to name the thing and leave you with it. Let's talk about what changes when you understand the arrival fallacy. The first thing that changes is how you relate to the goals you're still working towards. When you know that that feeling of arrival is going to be temporary, not because you're broken, but because that's how human brains are built. You stop putting all of your emotional weight into the outcome, and you stop treating the destination as the place where your real life begins. You start allowing yourself to exist in the journey in a way you probably haven't before. Not as a consolation prize, but as the actual thing. Because here's what research actually shows about lasting satisfaction: it doesn't come from the moment of achievement. It comes from the accumulated experience of working towards something that matters to you. The process is where the meaning lives. The arrival is just a moment. Now, the second thing that changes is how you measure your own life. Most of us are walking around with a mental scorecard that says, I will feel okay about myself when blank, when I pay off the debt, when I get the thing, when I become the person. And every time we arrive somewhere and we don't feel permanently transformed, we update the blank with something new and we keep running, like the treadmill. What shifts when you understand hedonic adaptation is that you start to see the scorecard for what it is: not a roadmap, but a moving target. And you get to decide whether you want to keep chasing it or whether you want to put it down. Now, the third thing, and this one is the most practical, is that you start investing in what actually sustains happiness over time. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. The research is consistent on this. Variety helps. Not big dramatic change, but small doses of newness that keep your brain from fully adapting. Gratitude helps. Not the performative kind, the kind where you actually stop and feel something for what is already here. And connection helps. The quality of our relationships turns out to be one of the most reliable predictors of sustained well being, far more than any achievement. None of those things are on a future list. All of them are available right now. I want to close with something personal because I think this topic earns it. There have been moments in my life where I have worked incredibly hard for something, got it, and then stood on the other side of it feeling oddly flat, like something's missing. And for a long time, I thought that meant something about me, that I was ungrateful, that I didn't know how to enjoy things, or that I would always be chasing something I couldn't quite hold on to. And what I know now, what I want you to walk away with today, is that none of that was true. I wasn't broken. I was human. And the feeling I was looking for was never going to live inside the achievement. It was going to live in how I was moving through my life every day, in the small things I was present for or not present for, in who I was becoming, not just what I was collecting. You are allowed to want things. You're allowed to work for things, and you're allowed to celebrate when you get there. And you are also allowed to let that feeling be what it is: real and temporary, and not the whole story of your worth. The goal was never the point. You were always the point. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.